So we are so happy to welcome Õkāreka Dance Company here, both for this conversation and for the performances that will happen over the weekend. You know, it is rare to get these opportunities to be able to share our lives and our culture with people from other lands, and so we are grateful for this opportunity to be able to learn more about their work, and we hope that you are as well. So I'd like to close by saying it's important now more than ever to honor our women in this country and to listen to them. Thank you. And with that, I'm so happy to hand it off to a woman that I am in awe of. Shyla, thank you.
My pleasure. I'm so much shorter than you are. Welcome, everybody. My name is Shyla Spicer. I'm CEO, President of Native Arts and Culture Foundation. Welcome to the Center for Native Arts and Culture. So I just want to celebrate the fact that we're here. I also want to honor and recognize our Native people here in what's so-called Portland, those who are Native people who continue to thrive and live in this beautiful place. And I also want to thank those amazing women who came with me, Holly Littlebull, Monique Lopez, Heather Gurko, and Amber Ball, who shared the songs. Thank you, Holly, for allowing us to sing that medicine song from the Columbia River with you tonight. I feel like there's as any time needed to have that song for all of you, these medicine songs from our beautiful river. So we have a lot to be thankful for. I know that we're in this weird, auspicious time now. I'm still processing this, I think. I haven't quite really thought it through, but yeah, we have some work to do. But I think that the way that that's going to work is if we are going to connect ourselves and lean into this and be strong together. So I can't think of a better time that we could all be together today. So I don't think it's a coincidence that you're all here today with us. And I'm thrilled that we're in this space together in this moment. So with that, I think we're in a place where we get to celebrate this cross-sectional moment of global exchange, and I can't think of a better partner to do that with right now. So thank you, Graham, for being with us in space and initiating these powerful moments with each other. I know this is first of many, but this tonight is very, very special. So we have a pretty amazing moderator, and I'm going to read this because I don't want to do this person an injustice because they're very, very well accomplished. So tonight we have a moderator, Christopher Morgan. I want to tell you a little bit about this absolutely wonderful person who brings his Native Hawaiian heritage and international experiences into his multifaceted work as a choreographer, a performer, an educator, and a curator. He creates performances that synthesize dance, storytelling, original music, and multimedia design to explore identity, social, and cultural issues. He founded Christopher K. Morgan, an artist, in 2011, and in the same year, Dance Magazine profiled him as one of the 6 breakout choreographers in the United States. His choreography has been showcased in 22 countries across 5 continents and been supported by Creative Capital, New England Foundation for the Arts, Dance USA, us, Native Arts and Culture, among many others. And in January 24, he was appointed the artistic director of Malashak Dance, where he began his dance career in 1995. And since then, and since 2006, Christopher has directed Art Omai Dance and an annual collaborative residency in international choreographers in New York, where he designed the program's unique approach to cross-cultural collaboration and peer mentorship. And that's not all, you guys. This man is very, very accomplished. Known as a thoughtful advocate for artists, Native, LGBTQIA and Two-Spirits, visibility in the arts, cultural integrity, inclusivity and diverse representation in the studio and on stage. He was also nominated by President Biden to the National Council on the Arts and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. He serves on the board of the National Performance Network, co-chaired in 2023, and 2024 Association to Performing Arts Professionals annual conference, and serves in many other fields in the area. And from 22 to 23, he served as the Vice President of Programming at the Maui Arts and Cultural Forum. I just want you to give a warm welcome to our moderator this evening and 2013 Native Arts and Culture Foundation awardee, Christopher Morgan.
A little mood music. Aloha, y'all. Kia ora. You know, we love Native people, we love a song, and as these folks have voyaged a long way, I have to greet them properly. So before we continue, Ke lehi maila o ka ula I ke kahi e. Ke mahalama lama o ni hau, ua mali e, amali e ka inu vaila, ka inu maila, na hala o na hue I ke kai, no na hue ka hala, no puna ka wahine, no ka, no ikilawe ai. Okay, before I sit with my new friends, I wanted to explain a little bit about what I just shared. That was an olile, a chant specifically for gifting or presenting lei. It is also the same chant that a hula dancer chants when they adorn themselves with their lei before performance. So as you prepare for the stage tomorrow, technicians, you as well, artistic directors, choreographers, cultural advisors, I want to adorn you with lei that comes from, cue slide, my mom's yard. So the Mana Wahine in my life is my mother, Mona Halailani Kauka Morgan. And yesterday I was in Costa Mesa, California, and we plucked these tea leaves from her yard, and much to the annoyance of my fellow plane flight attendees, I weaved the lei on the plane, pulled my shoes off, pulled my sock off. You know, you use your toe to make them. So I was making a lot of friends on the flight here. Yeah. So welcome, friends. And thank you for showing up. Graham and Shyla's comments referenced, you know, we're in a, perhaps, depending on your perspective, difficult time. And no matter what your perspective, I think the best thing we can do is continue to show up for women, to show up for artists, to show up for Native people, to show up for guests that come from voyaging a long way, to show up and build community and build beautiful things that tell our stories. So to each one of you, thank you, mahalo nui loa, thank you so much for showing up. Because it might have been hard to get up this morning and show up for ourselves, and you showed up for all of us. Yeah, that's amazing. And that's another thing we can keep doing, along with continuing to breathe. Okay, hanu mai, hanu ahu. So, a lot of times Native folks, when we meet each other, we sing a lot, as you've noticed. We do a lot of protocols, and then we do really long introductions. We're not going to do too long of an introduction. What I'd love to do is one round of introductions where everyone on the stage, if you would share your name, your pronouns, if that's meaningful to you, your community that you come from. So that could be your Huanao, your Marae, your island nation, your tribal community, or the queer bar that you love. I don't know you do what you want, but your community. And then your role in this production, yeah? So names, pronouns, your community, and your role in this production. And I'm going to start immediately to my right, and we'll just notice that those two microphones kind of by Abby and Tui can move around a little bit as needed. Yeah? Perfect. And that one, we can just move it right in front of you. Ty, you introduce your, oh, she's going to hand it. Okay, here we go. Would you begin, Ty, since you're right there?
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Taiaroa Royal tōku ingoa, ko Taiaroa raua, ko rātou ko kaitahu, ko Ngāti Raukawa oku iwi, tēnā koutou katoa. Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Taiaroa Royal, or you can call me Tai. I am the artistic director of Õkāreka Dance Company. I just mentioned that I descend from 3 iwi or tribes. One is Taiaroa, which is in the Rotorua area. Another one is Kaitahu, which is in the South Island, and Raukawa, which is in the middle, close to the bottom of the North Island. So it's an honor to be here, and once again, yes, thank you for showing up.
Wait, Ty, what do you do with this show?
What do I do in the show?
Or how did you contribute to it?
I'm one of the co-choreographers for the show, for Mana Wahine.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Hi everyone, my name is Elena Kota. I'm originally from Cannon Beach, Oregon, and I now live in Hawaii, and I am a dancer in the piece. And I actually live in Hawaii now, and I learned the piece a week ago, and then flew and met everybody, and then joined, and now I'm performing the piece. So it's been a great ride, and I'm extremely honored and humbled.
Kia ora. Hello. I te taho o tōku pāpā ko Ngāti Tūwhare toa rātou, ko Ngāti Kahungunu, Ngāti Raukawa, Ngāti Kauwhata ōku iwi. I te taho o tōku māma, ko Ngāti Hāmoa o Moataa. Kia ora. My name is Kori Toalei or Toalei. My pronouns are they, them. On my dad's side of the family, they're indigenous to New Zealand, Māori. We're from the east coast of the North Island and down towards the bottom of the North Island. And on my mum's side is from Samoa, the island of Samoa. And both granddads on both sides are both Pākehā, or English and Irish. And I'm one of the dancers for Mana Wahine, and it's really awesome to be here. So thank you for being here.
Kia ora. Kia ora, ko Imatako Ingoa, ko Ngāti Pukenga Toku Iwi. I'm descended from Māori in Whangarei and also half Scottish as well. Very honoured to be here. Thank you for this amazing turnout of people, and can't wait to exchange more and hear more about where you guys are from.
Kia ora, or g'day. I'm actually from Wodonga in Australia, which is a little country town inland. My name is Yana, and I found myself in New Zealand in 2006 and felt like I had arrived home. I am one of the original dancers in Mana Wahine, and I had the great privilege and honour of creating a lot of the material, and it's an honour to be here 10 years later, being slightly older than all the other cast, but that's okay, isn't it? It's lovely to meet you all, and thank you so much for coming out. I think sharing breath with you is there's hope. We've got hope.
Kia ora, ko Ab Rogers tōku ingoa, he uri ahau nā kaitahu me Taiaroa, no o te tahi ahau, kei tāma ki makora o e no hoana, ti hei mauri ora. My name is Abby. I whakapapa to actually the two iwi that Tai and Tui are both from, so surely cousins down the line. But yeah, one of my iwi is in the South Island and then one is in the North. They're both on my dad's side and then on my mum's side in Pākehā, so English and Irish like tōlei. But yeah, as everyone else has echoed, it's really lovely to be here and spend the evening with you all. Kia ora.
Kia ora, ko Pei-Shan Hami tuku ingoa, ko Ruapeu te monga, ko whanganui te awa, te Aotearoa nui a paparangi te iwi. Hello, my name is Paige. I am a dancer here with the beautiful cast and crew. My iwi and my family come from Whanganui, which is basically based along the Whanganui River, which is my awa, my river. And my marae is actually up in Raitihi, which is right next to my maunga, my mountain. So it's a beautiful landscape. Everyone come to New Zealand. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Honoured to be here.
Tēnā tātou katoa. He uri tēnei no Ngāti Oho Mairangi, no Ngāti Mākura Tawhiti. I hau mai tātou i Hawaii nui, I Hawaii roa, I Hawaii pāmamao. I tai atu ki Hawaii tautau, Hawaii tahutahu. Arā, e ki ana, ko Aotearoa, niu tireni tērā. Nā, i tai mai o ku mātua tūpuna ki tērā whenua, hei whenua ipukaria. Ko mātou, ko tātou, ngā uri o rātou mā. I heke rātou i ngā atua ki ngā mātua tūpuna, tainoa nei ki ngā uri e noho nei i mua i te aroaro o koutou. Nō reira tēnā koutou. Ko waiau, ko tui Matira Ranapiri-Ransfield, tōku ingoa. Greetings. Greetings. Thank you for this invitation to traverse these sacred soils here, of the ancestors of here, into the communities of now of here. Tēnā koutou katoa. To our beautiful hosts and all the areas of hosting here this evening, tēnā koutou katoa. Ki te iwi take, te iwi ia kama, koutou o tērā o ngā hunga take. Tēnā koutou I o koutou reo, I o koutou mana, I o koutou tapu, te ehi, te wehi, te wana, me te mataku I tēnei pōtoni nei. E tika ana kia mihi ake, kia mihi mai. Nā reira, wahine mā, koutou e tuku ana I te reo take o konei. Tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koe, kaui. Tēnā koe, nau nei lei I homai. He taonga rongo mai whiti, he taonga roha. Nā reira, ka mau, ka pupuri, ka puritia e mātou te hunga o Mana Wahine I tēnei pōtunu nei. E mauana I te mauri o tēnei hui. Nui whakaharara nei. Nā reira, tēnā koe I te roimata, te hupe, te tuwha, me te aroha, te manakitanga, kia mātou o Mana Wahine. Tēnā koe. Ladies and gentlemen, children, future generations that may be carried and those safe havens, those pukus out there, who knows, pukus on stage, pukus out there. We say thank you. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Thank you to the people of these lands who welcomed us with their voices, with their breath, with their ethos, to us of Aotearoa, New Zealand. We acknowledge that. We pay homage to your ancestors, to your loved ones, as we do to everybody else in the room tonight, including our own. In Māoridom, we cannot have greetings. We cannot accept invitations without acknowledging our forefathers, our forebears. And so whatever we do, we weave in and out of two worlds, a spiritual world and a physical world, because that is our practice. We are the descendants, the reincarnation of the legacies of them of yesteryear. And so tonight we acknowledge everybody in this room, everybody, from the toilet cleaning to the housekeeping to the hosting to the people that are here to listen. We welcome all your spirits to conjure into one vibration with ours for but only a moment. And then they are sent back in the invocations and the incantations back to where they reside now. So welcome and thank you. And my name is Tui.
And what do you do?
And what do I do? You might as well say I'm the kui of the company. That means the old dog, the old girl. So everything that a grandmother or a wisdom keeper does, hopefully I'm doing all those, representing all those roles well, especially with every area of our company, our cast and crew. Most important that those hidden sides are taken care of. So thank you everybody, tēnā koutou katoa, to our host, our moderator for this conversation, tēnā koe kaui.
You already started us on the journey of where I want to go next. In many cultures, when we introduce ourselves, we might say that I am the child of, who is the child of, who is the child of. And I might also say that my teacher is, and their teacher is, and their teacher is. And a lot of us, including all of you, traverse a lot of different types of spaces where our indigenous or native identities are present and where Western values that want to abbreviate things and fall to the colonizer time don't allow us all of that thoroughness. I'm curious about a kind of mo'oku auhau, which is a genealogy in Hawaiian, and how I would introduce myself to my friends, that actually talks about, I'm going to leave it with 2 for now, though we could do all 8, but with the 2 of you, an artistic mo'oku auhau. What is the lineage of art, of dance, of song, of cultural tradition? And that may very well include a lot of family genealogy, I acknowledge that. But how might you talk about your artistic lineage that brings you to this work?
Easy. Okay. First and foremost, we were all created. Inherently, we have this artistic nature, this inquisitive cleverness. The list goes on. But here we are today to share stories, to demonstrate movement that talks about everything of who we are. We acknowledge the creation and that everything comes from creation. The female and male essence. Sky Father, Rangi Nui, Earth Mother, Papa Tuanuku. Everything between, beyond and below. When our ancestors look at the world, we know our place. Our place as the human being element is that we were the last to be created, the last to be born. So, everything that was created, we look at as our older siblings. That is the trees, the plants, the water, the mountains, the rivers, the animals, the insects, the birds, and so forth. And we were the last. So we look at all those older siblings as our tuakana, and we take heed as being the taina or the pōtiki or the younger sibling. And so to understand that is to bring all of that into everything that we do in an artistic, invaluable way. Õkāreka Dance Company was born from all of that in 2007. Tai can talk more about that. It's Tai's company. But Mana Wahine came from that. The name of this production, Mana Wahine, it means the inherent power within woman, within mankind, and the legacies and offspring that follow. That's what this terminology, mana, means. It means authority, it means strength, it means spiritual power, charisma, artistic power, you name it, it's all encapsulated in that four-letter word, mana. Can you all say mana?
Mana.
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 Mana tangata
Mana tangata.
means the inherent power within people. And the name of our production is Mana Wahine, the inherent power of woman. So, the epitome of that power is that we are whare tangata. We are the only gender that can produce offspring. That is the epitome of Mana Wahine, is to give birth, is to give life. The artistic qualities performed by these beautiful, precious dolly birds beside me, and they are they're beautiful, strong, fit, powerful girls. Girls because I'm about double their age. But you know, my respect for that inherent power that comes with these girls is beyond. It's beyond. It's the movement, the power of the movement of the human body. And this is what these beautiful women bring to the piece. And we have one original member, Yana Costello. So this is a work that is 10 years old. Yana was very much a contributor, a collaborator in the making of this artistic work of excellence. And we haven't always been fortunate enough to have the original members. So members that come along, that join us a week ago, and so on, are women that come with all their own inherent power and majestic and well quality to this work. And we are always honoured to work with them. So you've got all sorts of artistic going on. I'll leave some room for somebody else to talk. Tai, you're on.
Kia ora, cousin. So Õkāreka Dance Company came out of a want for myself and my co-artistic director of the time, Tane Mete, to create our own stories, to tell our own stories in a way that we wanted to. Having been in the New Zealand dance history for at least 25 to 30 years at that time, we were both part of other companies in telling their stories. So we felt that we wanted to tell our own in our own way. So Õkāreka Dance Company was formed in 2007. It is a kaupapa Māori-based company in the fact that we weave a lot of our tikanga or customs into our process or processes. We tell stories that are inspired, or we create works that are inspired by our stories, our whakapapa, genealogy, our ancestors. What we do is we take the story and we delve into it and find the real essence of the story, and then we create a work around that essence. So Mana Wahine, for instance, is inspired by two of mine and Tui's ancestors, who are ancestors from Taiaroa, Kia roa, and Te Ao Kapurangi. So Kia roa, and they're generations apart, but both of them were really strong women in the way that they were heroines of their time. They were able to outsmart men and save their people from adversity. When Tui told me these stories, I just felt that, or myself and my collaborators felt that we wanted to create a work around the essence of wahine, to encapsulate that energy and that essence, and to create a work which is Mana Wahine.
That's a great opportunity for us to take a look at some video that you sent us. It's just a short 4-minute introduction to the work and the process, and then we'll dive in more after that.
Taiaroa and I had a conversation in 2011. Ko papa tahua roa papa horo nuku papa ma hora hora papa wharoro. I talked to him about kia roa, and I talked to him about Te Ao Kapurangi. Both these women are from the Ngāti Ohomairangi people, and I've been really wanting to see more of our women's stories being told about their nobility, about their greatness, about their courage, about their strength and their power. So these stories have enthused this piece of work, but the story is a familiar story to all women around the world. My role with the company has been as a cultural advisor liaison to work alongside the women in their performance, like wiri wiri, pukana, kapa kapa, and use of patu. Its purpose is to clear away any obstruction, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional. It specifically is brought into the context of the women that are performing Mana Wahine. And so it's quite an elaborate pātere, because normally a pātere would be delivered by a group of people. The pātere still continues, but when there's only one voice and I am performing the piece, it is difficult for breathing. My direct Mana Wahine is my mum. My mum we lost in 1998. And so Mana Wahine for me is a lot of things. It is about the strength and power and empowerment of women. It is about their greatness. It is about their lovingness, their kindness, their gentleness, their humbleness. It is a lot of things. And I'd like to think that I have some of that, and something that I can leave as a legacy to my nephews and nieces and future mokopuna. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko tui Matira Ranapiri-Ransfield tōku ingoa no Ngāti Ohomairangi ahau, ko Taiaroa, ko Tainui, ko Mātātua, ko Uruao, ko Hohau te Rongo, ko Te Arei te Uru, ko Tāki Timu, ko Kurahaupo, o Kuwaka. Nō reira, tēnā anō koutou.
I hope everyone here already got their tickets for the performances because I hear it's sold out, which is amazing and beautiful and appropriate. So many layers, but the first one that I want to jump into, I'm glad you moved forward, Jana, because I want to ask you a question. 10 years of this work, and the global context around us has ebbed and flowed, changed, evolved, and returned in some ways. And so I'm curious, as one of the original cast members, and as your colleagues shared, contributors of this, how does it feel different now? What has evolved for you as a performer in it, and the world you see yourself in? That's a big question. Sorry to spring it on you with a surprise, but you seem very ready.
So straight off the bat, recovery time is a little bit slower in terms of I've been doing it for 10 years. And my bounce back isn't as bounce backy, but that's fine. This is a very, very special story to share for me personally. I actually couldn't even say I was female until I did this piece. And then I said, oh, I'm a wahine, I'm a woman. Ah, this is who I am. And so I have the honor of bringing this to life and now just allowing the story to come through. Whereas when I was younger, I think maybe I tried to do it, and time has given me the beautiful grace of allowing, and also the beautiful grace of sharing this story with so many wahine. I always say before we go out on stage, yes, we always acknowledge the wahine who have come before us, but this is our show. The people here, we're the one bringing it to life right now, and never make an apology about that. Bring who you are, bring who your ancestors are, and nothing more, nothing less. And that's it's as simple as that. It's simpler the older I get. It's simpler and more honest and with more allowing, no apologies. Yeah, and it's a gift every night.
Beautiful.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. I'm so moved by what you said that you didn't, I'm going to paraphrase because it was 2 minutes ago, but that you didn't feel that you were a woman until you danced this piece. This helped you claim your womanness, your wahine. And I'm curious for any of the other performers, like how has this gotten you more deeply in touch with the person inside you? You're nodding, Paige, so you get to go. You just voluntold yourself.
Oh, no. I think this piece more connected me with my culture and who I am as a woman, as a person. I think because in this particular company we use a lot of tikanga, a lot of customs that we bring outside and on stage. In my own personal life, it was always a struggle to kind of understand and find that due to, lots of things, colonization, family connections, all of that kind of thing. So this particular piece, I guess, allowed me the space to find myself in it without being forced or without being shamed as well, because a lot of it came from, I used to be able to speak fluent te reo Māori when I was younger, and then now it was white. And I felt shame in myself for that. And so this, I guess, piece was also a lot of healing and a lot of reconnecting and also a lot of fun. You know, it's actually all about, you know, a lot of dance, a lot of, you know, theatre. It's actually also about having fun. So if we can do it with our culture, with community, with our whānau, our family, with meeting new people and have fun while doing it, that's like, woo, high five. So, yeah.
Excellent. I'd love to hear another response, but I'm curious if, just by a show of hands, how many of you have ever felt separated from one of your languages? Anyone out there? Yeah, right? It's, despite our identity differences, that's a pretty common challenge that a lot of us face, is our languages are so frequently taken from us, whether by force or just by letting them go to sleep. When they're not used, they weaken. I don't want to say they die, but they weaken, right? And so being embraced in this work is so beautiful. I know that there's a lot of artists, art makers, creators in this group out here tonight. How many of you have felt the challenge of bringing all facets of yourself? In this example, it was their native identity with kind of contemporary dance practices, right? That was welcomed in this space. Has anybody else felt that challenge of bringing multiple facets of yourself, right? It's hard to bring your whole self to the work, because the world doesn't let us, but we have to change that, right? Opportunities like this allow us to change that dynamic. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you. I saw your hands raised, even in the dark. Does anyone else want to address that? Abby?
I just had a thought while Paige was talking. I think something that's really special about this work is that it allows you to bring out your own Mana Wahine, like whatever that means. Like, we're all very different people, and we all have very different values, and we all live very different lives in different countries, but this work allows you to bring who you are no matter who you are, and it's the energy that's on stage when we're all together and the energy of the history of the work that's what is special. It's not necessarily like the dancing, it's the energy all together and us all bringing ourselves to it. I think I'll just speak very briefly about Toile. You know, this piece allows like whatever part of woman that is for you. That might not mean that you identify as a female, but those wahine traits in you, or the mana wahine in your family, those are the people you can draw on in this piece, no matter how you identify. So I think it's something very relatable to lots of people, which is really special and not something you get often in a contemporary dance work, and especially not a cultural one. So yeah.
Thank you. I'd love to dive into that intersection of culture, air quotes around this, traditional culture, and contemporary practice. So you brought a lot of implements with you, and also we see people in the video and in the work dropping to the floor, employing release technique, modern dance techniques, contemporary dance practices, and then they might have a poi ball. So I'm curious to talk about how to come about that. In Hawaiian, we would say in a pono way, in a right way, because it's delicate. It's very possible, we see an example of it, but it also is fragile. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about, as cultural advisor, the eye that you bring to the work and what you're listening for that helps you say, yes, too far, no.
It's about wairua. Wairua of people, like this, the soul or the spirituality of the dancer, of the space that we're working in, the people that are surrounding, you know, the matters at the time. It's important in our Māori work that we weave and thread Māori movement, Māori animation, movement that the body can portray and convey that represents Mother Nature. Like, for instance, the wiri, girls do the wiri. This movement here of quivering is a movement that our ancestors observed when Tamanui Te Rā, the sun, is up. You know the heat waves that you see come down from the sun? Yes? That movement represents Te Haka a Tānerore, the dance of the deity of Haka. Haka is our word for dance. Tānerore is the deity. And when we quiver, it represents ethos, life principle, life force. For without an ethos, there is no life. So Abby, at the end of her introduction, said these words, Te hei mauri ora. And the word te he, te hei, te hewa, they mean sneeze. And mauri ora means the breath, the life ethos, the life force. And so, the first woman to be created from Papatuanuku, Earth Mother, I mean, there's a whole story around the creation. The breath, the air, the oxygen was breathed in through her nostrils. And eventually she breathed, she inhaled, and then she sneezed. And when a baby is born, those first cries, those first sounds are the sounds of te hei mauri ora, the sneeze of life. And so when we hongi, when we gently press noses with our hosts or with our visitors, we breathe in each other's breath and we exchange that. We bring it into a oneness, which we call kotahitanga, which we call te ha, the breath, the breath. Without the breath, nothing happens. Without the space between Earth Mother and Sky Father, that is where oxygen lies. Without that, you wouldn't be able to hear me. It would be like this. It is the oxygen that brings life to the sound. And so, right across everything in Mana Wahine, the soundscape, movement, the practices, tikanga, on and off stage, the language used, invocations, prayer, karakia, incantations, prayer, karakia, chant-like sounds and movement. The use of this poi, which is a ball on end of string. Come on, girls, get those pois up. And they all represent sound. And that sound is what our ancestors recognized as having come from the environment. And so the poi ball represents, well, actions like this.
Yeah, Tui's good at it, not us.
Represent the maiden flights of the smaller birds. And then, as the pois get longer, and even longer than this, we end up doing a movement like this, which represents the butterfly and two big long pois and two hands doing the quadruple poi dance represents the maiden flights of our larger birds. So movement, this movement here is the same movement as the girls do with the witty witty. But when we hold an instrument, when we hold a weapon, and we wield it and we do this, we call that kapa kapa. But it represents life, it represents energy, vibration, frequencies. And those are the Māori things that we were able to thread into the weave of this mat, Mana Wahine. These other instruments lying here, these, say pūrere hua. Pūrere hua, everybody say the word. Pūrerehua. So of course the shape, the type of wood, native wood that is utilised bring a different sound. These sounds are sounds of communication, communication between the living and the world eternally. And so they bring in a communication, bringing worlds together into a space with their own song dance, their own voice. And of course, this is manipulated by the woman in the dance at the very end with an ancient sounding chant. And so there's twin fires there, twin flames, two languages, one instrument, pūrerehua. So yeah, there's a technique. You wind it up and then you fly it. And you keep the momentum going so that the language of each pūrerehua is heard, is felt, is communicated. And that connection of frequency and sound and its own magical voice brings the worlds together. So the word pūrerehua is the Māori word for butterfly. When a butterfly is flying, the wings represent the shape, represent the movement that we create in such an instrument, a musical instrument, an instrument that can heal. So different shapes, different types of woods, different sizes bring about their own voice, their own unique voice. And in Mana Wahine, we have 5 different pūrerehua, different shapes made from different native timbers. And they bring their own voice. And with you coming to the show, you will have an opportunity to see their voices singing towards the end of Mana Wahine production. So, Māori cultural values are imbued, have been embraced by all the dancers. Ladies, pūkana. Tahi, rua, tori, wha, pūkana. You get that in the work. What is the purpose of that? It is to show as much of the white in the eyeball as possible. So raise your eyelids like this, everybody. Raise. Drop the eyeball only. Left, right. Practice. I'll tell you what, you'll never have to wear glasses because the muscles in the eyes are getting a good workout. I'm 70 years old. I don't need glasses at all. No, that is a down and outright lie. I'm 60. But my eyesight is very, very good. My eyesight is good and good in the night. But pūkana has two purposes. When we perform pūkana in our performing artistry, in our dances, they can be of a flirtatious nature. They speak those types of language, and on the other side, they can be ferocious. So it is an expression, it is an animation, and our Mana Wahine of every show has been able to bring their own pūkana, the beauty in their eyes, to the performance. And so those are some of the things. The patu, short club weapon, it is the most effective of all our weaponry. Of our long staff weapons, the patu is the most lethal. And I'm an expert at wielding this instrument. So on this Mana Wahine, Toa Lei that you met at the beginning, she will be using this instrument in the performance. Now, Tai is wielding the poi. You'll see that movement in the work. You'll see that movement in the work. What you hear is the wielding sound that a poi has been recorded. And so it's made to sound loud and soft right throughout the whole Mana Wahine piece. So there's Māori threaded through this whole mat, this whole whāraki of Mana Wahine. And our precious girls, they do a great job using this movement, using the eye movement. And, you know, the quick head movements. There's another section where they put that quivering movement into their whole body, which we call rūpapatinana. Rūpapatinana. So rūpapa, kapa, kapa, wiri, wiri. There's many names, but they have to be the right name for the context. So yeah. And then in the music scope, there's me in the background, sometimes with no words and a lot with words, doing wairea, which is an invocation. It is to clear obstruction and obstacles, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and including the space. It's important that a wairea is done with the girls before every performance. That space, the audience that is going to be coming before them, the audience space, the land, above, below, in front of, within, at the sides. That is all included in the words of the wairea. And then at the very end is an elaborate patere, or a chant-like song, which speaks about all the strains, all the personalities, all the character of woman. And these words have come from old incantations, old prayers, and they've been woven in, and there's only one voice singing, and I got my own styles of doing things, so it ends up to be quite a very, very long, elaborate piece right at the end. Right at the end, when these girls have worked so hard for 60 minutes, and that last 8 minutes, while they're wielding these pūrere hua, and Toa Lei is on the patu, is very, very, it's about endurance and stamina, and the determination to complete the process of Mana Wahine. And every Mana Wahine that has ever performed this piece have risen the same way on the heights of wow, on the heights of controlled magic. Why is it controlled? Because it comes from within these bodies, within these souls, within the pith of wahinetanga. Okay, I get a bit carried away, I'm a bit passionate.
Thank you, Tui. So I didn't grow up learning a lot of traditional Māori dance. I grew up learning disco. I grew up in the 70s, so I learnt disco and I loved to do disco dance. I did not know because I was brought up on a farm, and I did not know that you could do dance or have it as a career. So I studied horticulture instead. But my passion, my heart was to be a dancer. So I went and trained at the New Zealand School of Dance. I trained in ballet, I trained in contemporary at the age of 20, so quite old. And I found I had a natural talent for it, a natural talent of telling stories through physical movement, through my body. So went on, I joined a lot of dance companies in New Zealand. I forged a career for myself until I, as I said before, started my own company in 2007, Õkāreka Dance Company. Tui told me the story about our two ancestors, and this is how Tui became our cultural advisor, and was able to help myself and my collaborators infuse everything that she just told you about into contemporary dance. So it's bringing together two worlds of dance, I guess, traditional and contemporary, what we were talking about. So Tui's in every rehearsal, every performance, every tour that we go on. Tui is with us. She is our kaitiaki for our tikanga. And so to be able to have her knowledge pretty much on hand is invaluable. And we're very, very privileged and honoured and lucky to have her with us. She's a holder of much knowledge, as she's just expressed. So that is how our works in Õkāreka become full of both the traditional and the contemporary.
You mentioned that you grew up speaking your language and then it fell asleep for a period and has been revitalized. I wonder, since you just shared that, Tai, that you didn't grow up doing the dances and feeling connected to the culture, would you all share if you did grow up speaking your language and connected to these cultural traditions, or who has come to it later in life, so to speak?
Can I say something?
Please.
So I was on the cusp of our language was being
revitalized.
No, the other way.
Suppressed.
Yeah. So my elder sister, who's 11 years older than me, was punished for speaking her native tongue at school, and was sent into the corner and made to feel ashamed. So my parents wanted us to have a white man's education in order to survive. So I didn't grow up learning. My mother and my father, they spoke it, but they never spoke it around us as much as families do now. There's been a revitalization of our te reo in the past 20, 30 years. And now it's for a lot of our rangatahi, our younger children, our teenagers, it's their first language. And so it's been a real, amazing thing for us as an Indigenous people, as Māori. So that for me is my experience of my culture.
For me, I was similar, where I didn't grow up speaking the language. I came to it at a later stage through university. It was the first introduction to dance studies, was doing Māori, Hawaiian, Polynesian dance, and through that we learnt a lot of the language, a lot of the traditional movement, and that was the first foundation of that. And then from there it just grew and grew and connected more to my uncle and my dad and on that side, and just asked them stories about that they've suppressed from their fathers. And yeah, it was really, really eye-opening for me to just keep learning, and I'm just so thankful that I had family that was open and knew information to guide me through it. I think it would be really difficult if I didn't have that mentorship. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone else want to share about this? Come on, Abby.
I think similar to Emma, I didn't grow up speaking any te reo except for in primary schools, where you learn how to count and say thank you and those kinds of things. But I started to learn te reo through dance, like a lot of other experiences. That was kind of my way in to exploring my culture and learning about my genealogy. like I didn't know, I always knew I had kaitahu as a tribe, but I didn't know I was Taiaroa until like 2021, where I was on a dance work that we took to Maui. And that was how I learned that I had another iwi. And my grandmother knew, she just didn't think it was like that I wanted to know or that it was relevant. And I was like, okay. And I think my family, like my dad does not speak te reo, my grandmother doesn't, like all my Māori side does not, and I think it's now my responsibility to now pass on that to my family as much as I can. Like my dad coaches rugby, if you know what rugby is. It's not really popular here, but it's really cool. And he had to do a mihi, which is kind of what Tui did at the start, and he was like, what do I say? I'm like, oh, I know. Like, I know what to say, which is like a huge revelation that now I know and I can tell my dad, like, hey, this is kind of the structure that you might want to use. Do the short version so you don't like freak out and have to memorize it. But that's a huge privilege that I get because I've been able to access that through dance now that I can pass it on. But I don't think I would have had the opportunity to explore my language until I could through dance. And now going to language courses and that are so accessible to New Zealand, which is such a privilege because I know that does not happen in other countries for other Indigenous cultures around the world. So I know that's very lucky opportunities that we get. But yeah, it's a huge privilege and very eye-opening experiences. It's good when you get it wrong. Tui will correct you, which is good.
Well, and in a way, isn't that so traditional that our connection to our language comes from our artistic pursuits, right? It's very the same in Hawaii. Like our mele, our music, is our way to know language, to know our stories, to know our history, to know our ancestors, and the dances interpret it. So even as it came in a circuitous path, how beautiful, and I think how relatable to Native peoples of Turtle Island and other Indigenous peoples represented here. We have suffered so much language suppression, right? It's one of the first things that they can do, colonizers, is to suppress us, is to take away our language, right? Outlaw your language, limit your access to your traditional foods, make you eat other foods, make you drink things that aren't from your original land sources, and then suddenly they have dominance. So beautiful that you found your way through the art. Paige, did you want to add on?
Sure. So on my father's side, basically my whole family speak te reo Māori, so that's pretty awesome to have in my life. But so growing up, it was all around me, and then of course, family splits, things happen. So I kind of have my Pākehā family, my white family, and my Māori family. And unfortunately, I was a bit of trauma. Whoa. I was forced not to speak and not to connect with it, unfortunately. But I know there's a lot of love and a lot of, through that as well. So I basically, went from it being my life to being completely cut off from it, which was very difficult. And now it is me. I can't deny it, and I love it so much. So to be able to kind of connect, I guess, like you were saying, through artistry and all that, to find it again, and connections with family too, it's just beautiful. I think some of the hardest parts for me, I think too, I've been living in France for the past 5 years, so then I've also been like learning French, and it's been a lot of language, and which has been awesome. So now to be able to focus a little bit more on te reo is great for me. But I think as much as it is amazing now that te reo is being spoken, there's definitely still something, I don't know if it's similar for you, it's also hard when you are forced to be shut off from that. And now people who are Pākehā can speak your language, which is amazing, and I vouch for it. But at the same time, I'm like, whoa, like, that's really difficult to also deal with. So it's been such a journey to find it and to yeah, still on it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Can we all get connected back to our breath? Let's take a deep breath in. Hanu mai. Hanu ahu. I want to take a moment and see if any of you have some questions for our incredible cast, cultural advisor, choreographers of Mana Wahine. That's why I wanted you to breathe, to ready your voice to speak. If you do have a question, I'll just repeat it over the microphone to make sure everyone can hear. Is there any curiosity out there, something you want to know more about? Hi, friend.
So I noticed as Mana was speaking, a special use of hands. And I don't know if it's just my sensibility, but I thought there might be a special meaning behind the use of hands in culture.
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat the question to make sure everybody heard it, which was a curiosity about the usage of hands while speaking. And you mean separate from the sort of gestural language that comes with the dancing? All of that. Okay. Animated. Absolutely. How do hands while speaking fit into culture?
You know, when we speak, there's many languages. Where does this all come from? It comes from Mother Nature. When we do weaponry stuff, the feet movement, the wielding of the rako or the sticks or the short clubs come from hours and hours and years of our ancestors observing, absorbing, and then practicing, putting it through their bodies, putting it through their feet and their hands, and then creating a sets of movement and naming them and giving them a rhythm and then performing and then teaching this old knowledge down throughout the generations. So gesture is a way to communicate. It's a way of self-expression. It is, we speak not only with our eyes and our mouths and our tongue, but we use our bodies, we use our hands. And I think this is a universal thing. Maybe you've noticed that we're maybe seen as overuse, but I think it's just our individual way of expressing when we're talking, when we're singing, when we're moving. In my culture, our mothers, all they had to do was look at us and we knew exactly what that communication was about. So I think we all have the same potential.
I also think in modern day, so traditional Māori dance has been modernized, I guess, and we have a competition called Te Matatini, which is huge in Aotearoa, and many groups of up to 40 plus people compete on stage for the title of the best in the country. And during that 40-minute section is a section called Waiata Aringa, which is an action song. So all the actions are portrayed through hand movements, telling the story of the song. So there's that communication as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just to jump on as well. I think we really value embodiment, and we're not floating heads. We're definitely, it's not just about the top 6 inches, it's about the vessel in which we have for this trip. as well. And I think that through rhythm and connection, I think just naturally comes out. I don't know if I could really talk like this and actually remember what to say. I don't think it can be done. I know. Thank you so much.
I'll layer in one other thing, which I find fascinating about the dances of Polynesia, is if you watch them, there's almost like a hand dialect. So in hula, it tends to go away from the body. And when I think about the elements, I think of water. In Tahiti, they tend to pull in, and they do it at a much faster rhythm, right? Colleagues, where's this from? And how about this one? Samoa, right? So there's like, it's almost like dialects with our hands, and everybody has a slightly different hand gesture across the Polynesian triangle. And as I was so appreciative when you were saying you studied all of those different forms, and it's like, it's one of the things that you first learn is like, how am I gonna use my hands in this form, right? So there's something about movement languages traditionally that are embodied in our hands that are gonna spill over into our conversations, right? Because in the dance, I will pluck the pua, the flower, I will make the rain come, right? And so then when I'm talking, I'm like, oh my God, Abby, so like when you went to the floor, it was amazing, I love that. But then when you brought out the poi, oh my gosh, right? So I think you're right, I think there is a cultural relationship as well that is across Polynesia. It's fascinating. Someone needs to do work on that. I'm looking to a younger dancer. I'm looking for another question. Of course, I have a couple to finish us up, but I would love to hear from you. Friends. Thank you. It's hard to see. Hi, friend.
I'm curious, since the work is 10 years, like you've been doing this work for 10 years, how has it evolved or not? Like, have you, the first year that you did it, is it very similar today or is it very different?
The question was how the work is now 10 years old. Has it evolved or has it not? Choreographically, the structure choreographically, set design, costume design, lighting design, music design have all stayed the same. The only thing that has changed are the dances through various variations. Some when Mana Wahine is restaged, I always invite my original dancers back to be a part of it. And, 10 years ago, we get older, we have babies. One of our Mana Wahine had triplets last year, so she wasn't able to come on the tour in March. So it's about succession. It's about allowing Mana Wahine to have its past, and its past is always going to be with it because there's a lot of audiovisual within the work, and all that audiovisual was created 10 years ago on the original dances. So every time we restage it, they appear. 10 years later, 5 years later, they're always there with the work. But in live on stage, we have new dancers. So there's not only 5 or 6 live dancers on stage, there's 12. Then we have the other side, which is the spiritual side. And when you come to see the show, you will see a lot of photos, a photo montage in one of the sections. And those are all mine and Tui's. Most of them are mine and Tui's. Mana Wahine, our aunties, our great-great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, our mums, our aunties, but we also dedicate a genealogy line. I'm calling it a genealogy line, even though it isn't, but it is because of the whakapapa or the genealogy of Mana Wahine. We include a lot of the Mana Wahine of past dancers and crew members that have passed on. So it's about sharing, incorporating everyone's Mana Wahine that has been a part or continues to be a part of this work.
I think we also come from lots of different dance backgrounds as well. So when we come on stage and learn the piece, there is, I guess, a base choreography. I think I'm speaking more on solos. You know, we have our group numbers, things like that, which we learn together and we do it as ourselves, and that evolves just because we are new. But I think with the solos, I found that there may be a base and like an image that I can take from the previous dancer and honor that, and then go, okay, who are my ancestors? What can I bring? And where have I danced? You know, I grew up classically trained, then contemporary, and then I spent 5 years in Paris doing cabaret. So I use that too to bring to the piece, which naturally means that it also evolves as well. Yeah, I don't know if I answered.
Hi, friend. Yes, just going to repeat the question. Are there different dialects spoken amongst the community of performers, and does that influence or shift the dances, and particularly maybe these solos as you were referencing?
Not necessarily in this work that we have amongst us, that we have different dialects, but back home in Aotearoa, there are different dialects spoken. So, like for instance, if we were a kapahaka group or a traditional Māori group, we would probably have all be saying talking the same dialect, but I'm not too sure how many dialects are there, Tui.
We have one Māori language, and we have the big clans, the big tribes, have their own dialectal differences. But it is also part of the identification of those clans, of those hapu, of those iwi. And it's something that every Māori in Aotearoa, or every Pākehā that has been brought up in the Māori community, understand. There are certain words that belong to our clan as opposed to the clan in the North Island or around Taranaki or the South Island. So there are a few dialectal differences, but there is only one language.
Does it take place? The question was, does it take place in the movement as well? Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, it's the same with us in our culture. When we stand on our sacred threshold on the sacred courtyard, of course, you have to project. But it's also the showman and the orator. Because Māori men, orators, are the greatest speech makers in the world. The capacity to retain genealogy and all the facets that make up a speech, or what we call whaikōrero, is really extraordinary. They can speak for hours without making error. They can recite genealogy or whakapapa without error. So that is what makes our speeching not only sacred but extraordinary. That's just a fact. And nobody refers to notes. It's all stored up in the little grey matter above our shoulders. Mm-hmm. And there's personality and traits and characteristics and passion and how you deliver that makes every speaker unique. Did that answer your question, sir? Yes. Ka pai. Say ka pai, everybody. Ka pai. Ka pai.
Ka pai.
It means great.
Abby, do you want to add on?
I was just going to say something real quick. There's a really lovely section in the work we call kete heads, and we kind of embody native birds and the way they move and the way that they might act with a different bird. So I kind of think that might be a way that we embody different styles of movement that is inspired by by nature and by tradition. But in a very contemporary, fun way that we can have fun with each other and see what comes out on the night. And it's always a surprise.
Beautiful. Thank you for that question. All right, friends, I have one question for my friend that we didn't get to hear from, which is, am I correct? Did you perform in Dallas? Okay, so you've had one round of it under your belt thus far. So from the very quick, it sounds like, journey of learning to getting on stage with it, did you find, as a performer, as a Mana Wahine in it, something emerge in performance that you weren't getting out of the rehearsal of it?
Yes, absolutely. I found a lot of power and energy, and just also from sharing the stage with everyone as well. I felt so much energy, and it was revitalizing. In the studio, it felt more like I was thinking counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and, just constantly in my head. And then when I was on stage, so much, let go into the performance and feeling the energy from the audience as well. And the audio and the lights and being in Texas too was I've never performed in Texas, and the curtain, it would say Texas, the brand was Texas, and I would, every time before I would go to enter on stage, I would look and go, I'm performing in Texas, and this is so cool. So there's so many different elements to performing live and feeling all the energy, so yeah.
And look, if there's any place in the United States where a bunch of women should be taking the stage and taking power and place, it may as well be Texas. You might not know a lot about the politics in our country, but Texas could use a little, in my opinion. This is a personal opinion, not any endorsement from any organization or institution involved in this program. Right? Come on, Native women on stage in Texas. I love it. All right, friends, I am so honored to sit on this stage with all of you and get to hear your mana'o, your beautiful thoughts, your wisdom, your experiences, and your perspectives. I'm really grateful to all of you for joining us tonight in preparation for the performances that you're going to get to enjoy in the days ahead and get to participate in, add to, and support this energy that was just referenced. I happen to know about some things that are coming up here in the Portland area through Native Arts and Cultures Foundation and Whitebird, and I'm going to tell you about those. But Õkāreka Dance Company, where are you headed next? You're here this week, and then?
We're here Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Lincoln Hall, and then we fly out to Hawaii. We're on the Big Island at the Kahilu Theatre on the 13th so this time next week we'll be in Hawaii. And then we all go back to our different countries and different lives. And Õkāreka Dance Company is not a full-time company, so I contract dancers in for specific works.
Are there other works in development or that are projects that are on the horizon for you?
Sure, yes, there are. So because we're finishing our tour in Hawaii, I'm utilizing the time to be there. Õkāreka's next work is a collaboration with Toe Dance Theatre, which are based in Hawaii. And it is a work about one of our ancestors, Ngā Toroirangi, who travelled over in the big migration on one of the waka. Long story short, he walked the island of the North Island and encountered snow for the first time on one of our mountains in the middle of the North Island, and sent incantations and karakia back to Hawaii Nui, to his sisters who sent him warmth via geothermal activity. So this work is about how the geothermal activity left Hawaii Nui, stopped off in Hawaii, where Pele Honua Mea invigorated the deities to continue their journey to Aotearoa, to Ngā Toroirangi on Mount Tongariro. So that's the next work.
Wonderful. Peter Tau Espiritu is the artistic director of Tau Dance. One of the dancers is here in this cast as well, and is a friend of Native Arts and Cultures Foundation, so many points of connection and intersection there. It is so exciting that this wonderful performance has sold so well. I think it speaks so well to Portland community that you're showing up for women, showing up for Native people. Thank you. So yes, if you don't already have your tickets, you might really need to browbeat Graham to get tickets, because it is sold so well. So November 7th through 9th through Whitebird. Here at the Native Arts and Cultures Foundation, it was so wonderful to see how many of you were visiting the Center for Native Arts and Culture for the first time. If you didn't get to see the exhibit downstairs, please go down and check it out, or come back on Friday, November 15th. There's a special artist talk that's gonna be happening. So please, if you're not on the mailing list, get on the mailing list, stay connected. It is such a wonderful organization that has a powerful impact locally and throughout what we call the United States or Turtle Island for Native artists. I've directly benefited from this incredible organization. I can't sing its praises enough. Show up for them just like you're showing up for this moment and each other. Last thing I want to lift up is Whitebird's next performance is also this month. They're bringing Alonzo King's Lines Contemporary Ballet. Yes, I hear applause for them. Okay, hey. If you don't know Alonzo King's Lines, you have got to go see it. The work is transcendent. The dancers are amazing, and Alonzo is one of the most compelling speakers you'll ever hear. He is a man of genius, and yeah, the dancers are really otherworldly creatures, just like these gorgeous humans. So please continue to support Whitebird, support the arts, support dance, support Native people, support Mana Wahine. Mahalo. Again, my name's Christopher. I'm really honored to be with you all. Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy the rest of the evening.